I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Flip 7 with a Vengeance from the OP. Flip 7 with a Vengeance is the sequel, the spiritual successor to Flip 7, a game that takes Flip 7 and that makes it slightly meaner while maintaining that push your luck addictiveness that the original brought. Before we dive into the game, this channel is sponsored by Allplay, more about them at the end of this video. In Flip 7 with a Vengeance, it's going to have that core idea of Flip 7, a game that you might not know about, I'll talk about that in a second, but it just adds a meaner take to the game. More cards that are a little bit harsher to the various players at the table, while still having that push your luck aspect of just trying to get the right cards onto the table and score as many points as possible. In Flip 7, and in Flip 7 with a Vengeance, the general idea is on your turn, you're going to be given a card. You start by giving cards to the various players at the table. So for example, we hand a card to that player, and to that player. That's going to be your starting cards. From there, the players are going to be dealing cards that choose to whether to continue to go or whether to stop. So for example, this player goes ahead and says, I'm going to go ahead and go. And they add an 8 to the table. This player is also going to go because no one's stopping at 10, but now they have a divide by 2 card. This is one of the cards that got added in with the Vengeance over here. It's a slightly meaner version of the original game. Instead of having these random cards that are positive, for example in the original Flip 7, this was a ×2 card that made your score twice as good. But instead, we're going to take a look at this person who has a 6 and 8, and we're going to add it to their cards over here. This is going to divide their score at the end of the round. Goes to this player, they go ahead and grab a card, it's an 8. This player, they're a little deflated, whatever they take is divided by 2, but we'll still say we can take, we get the 7 over here, back to me, I'm going to hit my hit, and over here, we're going to again draw, we got a 9. This player is going to continue to go, we're going to grab a card over here, we got a 6 and we busted. Because we have the same card now, a 6 and a 6, we are going to bust, we're going to turn our cards face down. Back to me over here, I'm going to keep going, we got a 12, this player is going to stop. They're going to take their cards. Well, their cards are still able to be affected, so we're going to go back to this player. I'm going to go ahead and grab another card, and now I busted, leaving this player is now safe over here. They're going to have 13 plus 9 is 22, plus 8 is 30. They have 30 points on the way to 200. At the end of each round, you're going to add up your points, which multiple players can score if multiple players did not bust. In this case, only one player didn't bust. They're the only person getting points. They're going to have 30 points, and then you start a new round. That's the core idea of what Flip 7 does, and what Flip 7 with a Vengeance does. The difference in With a Vengeance is purely going to be about the types of cards that are added to the game. Because instead of having cards that add various numbers, like you saw a second ago, we had the divide 2, you're going to have other cards, -2, you're going to have another, let's find more of these over here, we have a -8. These are cards that you play on other players and it lowers their score. Basically, it's the same idea as the original game, but instead of adding numbers to your score, these would have been +2, +4, +6, etc., you are now simply subtracting from other scores. Additionally, the other cards are going to have things like stealing. Play on any player to steal any card. That can be fun to get a card that you might need, especially if you're trying to work your way towards 7. One thing we didn't talk about is if you do have 7 unique numbers, specifically the number cards, not special abilities, if you have 7 numbers in yourself, that is flipping 7. You're going to end the round, add 15 points to the total in front of you. It's a great way to cut everyone else off and get a lot of bonus points for yourself. We have discard. Force any player to discard a card. That can be helpful as well to get rid of a high value card or maybe a card you don't want. We have the 7 unlucky. Discard all other cards that came before this over here. We have things like, what else do we have? We have a swap card. The swap one is going to be one of the special abilities. Play on any 2 players to swap any 2 cards. Do you know how satisfying and mean it is to go ahead and swap 2 cards from other players, forcing them both to bust at the same time? You can have that happen with that card. There's not a lot of them, but when it comes out, it's definitely very mean. That's a little extra card over there. That's from the starting. We have Flip 4, play on any player to flip 4 on them. This is the equivalent of the Flip 3 from the original Flip 7, but instead is having you do 4, which again, just pushing it a bit further, makes it more unlikely that they'll actually make their way alive through it. Flip 3 is always kind of addictive because sometimes you want it to play on yourself. This one is that much more incentive to play on other players. Those are going to be some of the new cards, and we have lastly just one more. Play on any player to effectively freeze them, but you play 1 more card and then freeze them. That can cause them to bust, but alternatively, it might give them an extra card before giving them the points that they are desperately trying to get their hands on. There's a few other cards. There's a 13 that counts as a wild 13, so basically not a wild. It doesn't cause you to bust. It's an extra 13. There's a card that makes your score 0. It resets your round unless you get a Flip 7. There's a bunch of meaner cards in the game with very few cards that are beneficial. Steal is helpful for you, hurting hurting the other players. That 13 that's extra, that's an unhelpful one. But for the most part, this is Flip 7, where everything in the game is meaner. Instead of having a one more chance that gives you an extra life, there's just more ways to cause everyone else at the table to bust. Which means it's time for my review of this game, of what Flip 7 with a Vengeance is doing. So first of all, my thoughts on the original Flip 7. It's one of those games that when I first played it, I kind of wrote it off as, this is fun, but it's just a fine game. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing amazing about it either. Something about Flip 7, though, managed to hit that perfect spark of addictiveness, and it's a game that my kids constantly ask for. I'm always happy to play. It is fun to watch any single person at the table manage to slowly make their way to 200, whether through careful, safe deliberate play, or through having a few incredible turns where they manage to get 70, 80 points in a turn, and the rest of the time they're busting while trying to get to those good turns. There's something addictive about the game that works well. It has become one of the more played games in my house just because of how easy and addictive it is. Flip 7 with a Vengeance is totally fine, but it's just a meaner version of Flip 7. My opinion on this one is that it has all the things that I like about Flip 7, but it has more things that are going to drag down and slow down the game a little bit. You are going to have a harder time making your way to 200 when there's a lot more cards that are meaner. Instead of giving you cards that give you extra lives, that give you extra points, that multiply your score, instead you have cards that divide people's scores, subtract their points, and make players more likely to bust. That slows down the game. Now, if you do like a meaner game, you have a few options. First of all, you might just like a meaner game. You might be fine with the fact that this is a meaner, slower version of Flip 7. Alternatively, if you like the meaner game, but don't want that slower drag, you could modify the score to whatever number you want. You can make it a game to 150 points, or even 100 points, although I think 150 is a nice number that maintains the rough game length of the original, while allowing you to dive into those slightly meaner interactions. For me personally, Flip 7 with a Vengeance is totally fine. I have one kid in particular in my household who does like the meaner style of play, so this might hit the table more often when he specifically requests it, but other than that, I would just prefer and generally recommend the original Flip 7 as having all the addictive qualities that this game has, but while focusing more on how you can boost your score and have those incredible turns, as opposed to how you can drag others down. The one redeeming factor of this is that this is slightly better at dragging down a runaway player. For me, Flip 7 is never a game about that, so I don't mind the runaway player. It's still fun to watch people get those banger turns, and this one's more about, hey, I swapped 2 cards and made 2 players bust at the same time, which is satisfying, but also mean and slows down the game. So overall, my rating for this is going to be a 3.5 out of 5. I like it. It's fun. I just think the original Flip 7 is more to my personal playstyle, but this is still fun, and it's different cards and abilities. As far as other game recommendations, definitely check out Can't Stop if you're looking for a classic push your luck game. That's one of my favorites. And if you want a push your luck system that expands into more of a board game, check out Quacks of Quedlinburg for something that is definitely going to have you trying to pull more potion tokens, pull more tokens from a bag, ingredients from a bag, as you attempt to build the best potions, score the most points while not going bust in the process. And then I mentioned at the beginning of this video that AllPlay is a channel sponsor. If you're looking for other fun party games that might not be on your radar, check out Things and Rings from AllPlay. If you go on their site, allplay.com, you can get both their games and their partner publishers for $4 flat rate shipping in the US, and Things and Rings is a delightfully fun, addictive party game of deducing things while trying to figure out how you can find the patterns better than the other players, faster than the other players. And in any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. Hope you found this review helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.